towards the future. So please take the seats. Today we'll continue our lectures concerning integration our knowledge into decision-making process. So, as we previously talked, it's quite important to understand how your new knowledge could be integrated into organizational routines, business routines, or actually your plans. And today we'll go inside different practices of corporate and national systems concerning foresight activity and strategic planning. Well, I can tell you, I don't know to have some job occupation or not, to have any plans, but I can tell you that nowadays, I mean this year at least, I see rapid increase in demand from corporations, including not only state-owned but also private corporates, for creating and installing corporate systems of strategic foresight and planning. And from this perspective, if you think of being some valuable in companies, large corporations, maybe you want to establish your own corporate system. It's imperative of your future competitiveness to know the future, to monitor global trends, and to integrate them into decision-making process. And before we go forward, I've got a question for you. You listen to more or less several lectures, maybe even all. How do you plan? How do you think you could integrate your knowledge into your own life? I mean, that knowledge that you already get acquainted to, knowledge that you already discussed with us. Did you think about that, or maybe you have some ideas? How could you, I mean you personally, right, integrate this knowledge into your life, into your academic career, or maybe create a new startup, or at least put in your curriculum vitae a new skill like foresight skill? Why not? I think it could be a competitive advantage for you. Please, any ideas?
So you mean the knowledge about foresight?
About foresight, global trends, all that we discussed, wild cards, ideas of stakeholders, mapping, anything that we discussed within our course.
Right. As I'm a lab worker, there are special meetings in our laboratory where we discuss our results and numbers. And the man who governs our laboratory sometimes comes up with ideas what we are going to do next year.
You mean supervisor?
Yes.
All right.
Supervisor. So what I mean that by reading articles or just monitoring the modern science situation, I think that we can come up with some new technologies that have arose somewhere once, and we can implement them in our work, like method or the special instrument in order to enhance our work.
That's good. What's the name or what's the topic of your laboratory? So what are you doing?
We are making quantum computers based on quantum applications.
All right, so you're one who are creating quantum computers.
No, we are making quantum computers.
All right.
So,
Okay.
precisely the magnetic field and some other stuff. We
And what could be the fields of application?
Well, it can be installed like on spacecrafts, in drones, in airplanes.
So it's for precise observation
Yeah,
on...
for precise observation, and also it's known that if there are underground some iron
Mhm.
rods, then the magnetic field would differ from the model. What should be working. So with precise parameters, we actually can find explore new points, heights.
Mhm. I think it's good. I mean, the direction of laboratory is very interesting because it could be implemented in different spheres, including the spheres that could be in some emerging countries, building or some geology, maybe a space discovery as well. So it's really good. And we really do foresight for a lot of laboratories inside our university, high school of economics, to understand first what could be the global agenda for them, all right? Because when you are in laboratory, it's good, but you have to see outside, out of the box, and to think out of the box. And when you see different global trends with nanotechnologies, new models, digital twins, you could do your scientific work more sustainable, sufficient, fully fledged. So it's really a good idea to take a look at this. And another thing is that with foresight you can find applications. So that's why I ask you for what? Because you understand that sometimes when you do research, when you do science, you don't know the precise application. It's normal. You know that Viagra was developed for heart diseases, and what they've got for erection, that was a side effect, not for direct effect of Viagra, for example. And there are lots of cases when people from science side want to do in one direction and got another effect. It's normal. That's good. That's why it's interesting. That's why science is great. But for me, like an economist, the question is, what about the money? What about the application? So it's good to know global trends, including trends of economic development and new models, global challenges, to have some applications for your laboratory. Nice. All right. Great. Please.
Mine is not related so much about my academics here in MIT, but it has to do with works I've done in the past. Like in my country, we have a lot of reserves, oil reserves, and most trends, most companies, when they forecast their projection, they think about how can we get involved in the oil sector, how can we improve or increase production. Personally, going back, I might make a proposal and say, why not let's take an holistic approach? Let's not just isolate Nigeria as a country in terms of oil production. Let's look at global trends. Globally, let's check what other countries are doing, what the future entails. Because here we are forecasting, or we can actually get hold of the future better by not just forecasting, but by planning for it in a way of integrating other green energy. Let's add it. I know we're still going to increase our production, but what about was limiting to some areas and compensating with some other sources of energy. Let's just go in the direction of global trade, because we cannot act like in isolation. Personally, for me, when I came for the lecture, I had this bias in mind that they're talking about, especially when it comes to greenhouse effect. Other nations have had their fair share of pollution. Let my country, let us also have our own fair share. But now I realize it's not about my country having our own fair share. It's just like me thinking, okay, because other nations use steam engine in the past, my country, we have to still limit ourselves to steam engine. I could imagine how backward that would be for us. So we just have to go along with the trend, take a holistic approach and see how we can be part of the future and not to be trampled on or be at the receiving end or the negative aspect of the future. That's my own personal impact because I've had on me. And when I get back to Nigeria, I'm going to see how I can actually put up a proposal and present to my company.
That's great. Bravo. I think that maybe you should establish your national foresight center there, and we can be like counterparts on the national level. So think about this.
National Foresight Center.
Exactly, that's it. Well, seriously, there are a lot of different foresight centers in South Africa, Brazil, South Korea, China, and we are all parts, and we establish good communications with them. So what you're talking and what you think about, I guess it's quite fundamental. But you need team, you need your ideas to be integrated into the whole institutional structure. So think about establishing a National Foresight Center. You will be a director of it. So I think it's a nice idea for your personal career.
Yes, for personal career, I need to ask a question.
Right.
What you just said popped up a question in my mind. Now, you talked about the idea of setting up a National Foresight Center. I want you to clarify. Like back in our country, we are from the same country, Nigeria, we have National Bureau of Statistics.
All right.
Which is saddled with the responsibility of data gathering and evaluation and then making prediction. So if you are coming with an idea of a National Foresight Center, the natural tendency question will be that what would this thing do differently from National Bureau of Statistics? So I want you to clarify me on that.
Mm-hmm.
If I say
I'll do it.
Can I just cut you?
Yeah, sure. I think so, that you both will be establishing a National Foresight Center, so it's okay.
I think what we have now, but most often they kind of look at trying to prepare for forecasting, they logically try to explain what it was in the past, what it is now, and where they kind of feel is going, they draw the statistics, and it's quite correct, but I think global trend is a bit different. It like takes holistic approach. It's not just your statistics, your coefficient, or what they are telling you. You have to look at, okay, what is the politics like? Where is the world heading to? What are other people doing? I think we do not have something like that in our country, like the diagnostics holistic, not just forecasting. I think we can actually go and maybe put it on the foothold on that and start from there.
Mm-hmm.
And see how we can actually bring that, maybe start up something in terms of foresight in our country.
I can tell you how it usually goes, and it's totally in line with what we're going to discuss now, because our rest topic is about systems of integration, foresight into decision-making process. So you're all talking about all this. So generally, in all countries, we do have a bureau or some agency or some ministry. It doesn't matter about the precise naming, but I mean the function for statistics. It's okay. In Russia, we do have, how it's called in Russian? Росстат. Come on, guys. All right, it's called Росстат, so Russian statistics, right? And it's a federal agency which is responsible for statistical observations, etc., etc., etc. By the way, I'm a director of Science and Technology Foresight Center, which is a part of the Institute for Economics and Statistics of New Knowledge, right? So that's a part of answering of your question. But statistics is also about the past, right? It's about the backward, about what already happened. It's very important, so we stand on statistics, but we cannot use just statistics to look forward. It's not enough. So that's why when we'll be discussing methods of foresight, I'll be presenting you different types of foresight methods, how we do it. It's around 80 different foresight methods, general, 80, that we've got in our portfolio of instruments when we do foresight exercises, all right? So 100% for sure, you have to establish some communications with the National Bureau of Statistics, but you can do, say, this National Foresight Center based on the university that you have, some big, great university with capacities, infrastructure, etc. You can do it like separate organization or separate unit, but from this point it will be a little bit hard to grow, as you understand, when you're part of big, of more profound and bigger institution, it's a little bit easier to create all this. And you're not competitive in a competitive position with statistics, right? You understand this? So statistics is a part of foresight activity when you have to know the starting point. But you cannot use only statistics to think about the future. From another point, it's very important to know what will be in the future, to have some statistical metrics or statistical formulation, because if you cannot count, you cannot manage. So that's why sometimes we use foresight methods to understand what will be in the future with statistics. And around a few years ago, we had a special project with United Nations organization and their statistical department. This is the coolest from the coolest statistics in the world. So you can imagine, United Nations statistical department. They are on the top. And they were very interested to understand how foresight could be applied to statistics. And we elaborated different metrics and ideas about how statistics could be changed, how new indicators could be elaborated to make them more tied to the future of sectors, of businesses, etc. Because you cannot measure in the same way as you measured, say, 100 years ago, right? Because the life changed, economics changed, society changed, everything changed. So you have to change metrics, you have to change indicators. But to change them, you should understand what will be the changes in the objects of statistical observations. Society, business, economics, production, manufacturing, science, etc. You see? So you could think about maybe establishing these national foresight centers on the basis of universities, or like a governmental initiative. It's also good. But it's a great idea, frankly. It's a great idea. So, please, any ideas? How could you use what you already learned in your personal life?
I work in the sphere of two-dimensional materials. Maybe good application of the sphere is and particles for treating cancer via lenses and some kind of technologies in quantum computers or I don't remember Polski.
Flat
electronics.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I want to work in the science sphere because I'm so exhausted. So I want to work in IT sphere or machine learning to some specific features.
So you feel like being exhausted from science?
Yes.
In so young age?
What?
In so young age? You should work at least more 20 or 50 years, and then you can say I'm exhausted. Not too early.
Exhausted, I need to study a lot of complicated information.
So for more practical, you want to go for more practical part? Yes?
More practical part, yes.
All right. Okay, so let me share a piece of advice with all of you. What we do in the foresight activity is that we connect different stakeholders. Again, just to remind you that in foresight we identify different types of stakeholders like science, business or companies, society, government, expertise, regulations, and it's quite fruitful from foresight to link your activities with other types of stakeholders. I mean, if you want to be inside the science activity, you always have to think about for what, right? So for what great challenges are you doing all this? For what business applications? For what society needs? Because it's also very great when you can help society to live better, etc., using science. Okay? As you said, so what you're doing in science, using foresight, you can think about what applications could be in practical things. From other side, if I'm from business, I want what generally companies want. Productivity, profits, efficiency, well, it's normal because otherwise there won't be companies. But using technologies, using science, applications, different types of applications, technological applications, I can increase productivity, I can create new products and services with new properties, etc. So that's why business also invests a lot in foresight from technological and science part. Society wants a balance between science and business to live longer, to live in a more ecological world, etc., to decrease poverty, to decrease inequality, and etc. So society needs balancing. So that's why foresight helps to create a platform for discussion between science, business, society, government, and that's why it could be very fruitful for you. Now you want to go for more practical. Maybe in 2 years you said, no, I want to get back in science. That's normal. Or you decide to go from laboratories to creating unicorns, and maybe guys from you will invite him for laboratory for a new agenda about your competitiveness of the country. Why not? For a couple of years and then get back. It's normal, it's good. That could be a great result of our course, by the way, about cooperation. And I mean that the life is long, and you can be from one part and then from another, business, unicorns, back to science, go to education. In all these cases, foresight could help you to make a scientifically based platform about understanding what global trends you have to take into account, what market niches could be, what directions of science and technology are important, what applications will be, and it's really great. So thanks for sharing your ideas, because it's really very important to get not only from this corporate or federal level. Today I'll be presenting you some ideas about how a national innovation system could look like. It could be fruitful for you like a national innovation foresight center as well. But it's quite important to make it in person, right? Personally. So again, thank you for sharing these ideas about how you could use it in your life. And just remind you that we discussed it in our previous lecture, how companies could take into account global trends and global trends agenda. So generally, if you look at one global trend, it could be elderly population, or say decarbonization, or urban planning, whatever. So there are two layers for any company, like internal corporate innovation ecosystem, which includes stakeholders, management and personnel, and external innovation ecosystem, which includes markets, consumers, society, competitors, infrastructure, science and research and development, supplies, regulation, and any trend affects these two different layers, right? So it affects internal ecosystem and external ecosystem. Moreover, if we're talking about some big company like Rosatom or Russian railway companies or Gazprom in Russia, or De Beers, other companies, Microsoft, Apple, any large corporation, they could be reward influence. So not only like trend takers, but also like trend setters. So you can set a trend. You could influence global trend even if you're just a company. But you're just a company like Samsung or Microsoft, you could really change the whole trend of the whole world. So that's why it's quite important. And we talked about the new science and technology innovation policy, which also is influenced by different trends, very broad, starting from sustainability and climate change and getting back to new social things. And we talked that science, technology, STI and innovation policy needs to be transformed to a new agenda with all these global trend things, and foresight as a system, foresight as a philosophy, foresight as a science. It started from Red Corporation around 60-70 years ago. Now we do have a lot of different projects. We talked about this in our previous lecture. And then we discussed how foresight results, generally trends, markets, products, priorities, and recommendations could be applied by different stakeholders. What companies could do with foresight results, what government could do with foresight results, what universities could do, development institutions. By the way, National Foresight Center could be something like here. I mean that it could be established on a platform of universities or development institutions, and then play a role of such mediator of different stakeholders as well. And then we moved to understanding how foresight system could look like, starting from foresight, getting back to technologies, roadmaps, and projects. And well, I guess that from this point I'd like to get deep dive and to tell you a little bit more how foresight activities could be implemented on different layers. As an example, I will take our Russian experience, because we do have in Russia more than 100 different foresight projects already done. And they were done on federal level, including identifications of critical technologies, science and technology foresight 2025, 2030, and then I think we'll go to more long-term horizon. Some foresights for civil society, industry as well, for ICT and mass media. We do have several regional foresights done by Russian regions and Russian cities. A lot of foresight done at corporate and sectoral levels. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you about all these foresights because I'm under NDA. In this case, you also will be under NDA, and maybe some of you will stay here for 10-15 years. So that's why I'll just tell in general about these foresights that we've done. They were applied for different areas like pharmaceuticals, water purification, composite materials, engineering, power engineering equipment. We've done a huge foresight for shipbuilding, space navigation, aircraft sector. We've done a roadmap for automotive industry, special sector of foresight and road mapping for aviation, and also we've done foresight for agricultural sector. So I can tell you that for corporate sector and for industries, foresight activities could be very fruitful, as they help to increase your competitiveness. They could positively influence innovation activity, but not in linear way, if you remember our previous lecture. And finally, lead to better understanding the future. But foresight and all exercises could not help you to predict the future. Okay? We were talking about this for the whole course. Generally, it's impossible to forecast the future or to predict the future, but it is possible to create the future. Understanding global trends, understanding your backgrounds, understanding what could be the priorities, but the future is not predictable, but it could be created on a scientific base and including key stakeholders on board, like society, business, government, another parts. And I'll get back to this slide again, just to put your attention that there are several elements here. We'll get back to this conception today again. But what I'd like to tell you now, there are some logical linkages. Then we do foresight, we generally start from challenges, markets. Then we go for identification of products, technologies, and research and development. And again, this is not linear thing, right? So you could apply different methods to see what products could be, but anyway, products and good innovation products are based on technologies. Again, several technologies could help you to produce different products and services. Some of them could be innovative, some not, and etc. So I mean that this is a process. It's not something linear. Then we go for critical technologies, or so-called priorities. In Russia, we do have special law signed by our president, the law for critical technologies of Russian Federation. And we were responsible for preparing the lists and so-called passports of critical technologies. They include a lot of different information, like thematic areas. I mean, what are sub-areas of such technologies? What is the state of Russian R&D, potential, some characteristics, etc. And then you go for industrial critical technologies. Using roadmaps, you could make a path, so like roadmap from point A to point B, from present to the future. So that's why it's important to understand the basic point, using statistics as well, but a final point as well. 2 points, and then your path. And it could, sometimes it's linear, but in a real life you understand that there are no linear paths, okay? So it could be very, very complicated, interactive. And then we'll move to some actions, like programs, research and development initiatives, grants, and other instruments, right? So that's like some general conception. That's what we are doing on different levels. And finally, we do have in Russia even foresight structure. So what it means, foresight infrastructure, we established a network of foresight centers. One of them initially was established here, I mean in this university, for nanotechnologies. And the aim of such centers was to monitor different trends and sub-trends which could be interesting and important for our country, and then be responsible for creating some materials, trend letters, reports about all this information to integrate them into decision-making process. Okay. So again, what is important here, that foresight activity, it includes different layers. Okay. So it's not only federal story or national story. It's not only corporate story. It's not only a story about universities. Foresight almost everywhere could be very interesting and important issue. But as it always happens, we do have a lot of issues to be tackled, or problems. Some of them are quite typical, so let me tell you in brief what we notice in Russian case, but generally it's quite representative to what we do have in other countries. So let's start from understanding what business thinks about foresight and what companies think about foresight and other activities. So we always could argue that companies are mostly concentrated on what? On profits, right? On profits, on revenue, etc. Well, being acquainted to a lot of different corporations and companies with stakeholders and management, I can tell you that it's not so linear, but generally, yes, otherwise they wouldn't be called business. Business is business, sorry. And that means that when you are talking about, say, 10 years or 15 years or 20 years horizon, they could argue that, sorry, but we do have a lot of problems to be solved right now. And if we cannot solve them right now, there will not be our future in 10, 15, and 20 years. Again, the story is not so linear, because when, say, I'm talking with a company which has, say, 25 or 30 years old history, which is not a lot, generally, and they're telling me that, sorry, we cannot foresight with horizon more than 5 years. I'm asking them, alright, so am I right that you want to close the company in 5 years? So they're kidding. Of course no. When I'm talking to companies, okay, which have history like at least 20-25 years, it's not a lot, but anyway, and they argue that they cannot invest, they cannot find budget for foresight with a time horizon more than 5 years. My argument is, okay, that means that you want to close the company in 5 years. They all said, no, of course no. We want to be, I've said, you want to be, alright, foresight for 15 years, at least. And that's very important, because if we want to establish some long term, we have to foresight in the long term. Otherwise, it's a totally terra incognita. So how can you make some understanding or planning if you cannot foresee not only for 5 or 3 years, but for 15, 20, 25, 40 years? You remember I showed you a lot of pictures from China 2050, yes? China, I'm right, bless you, China, South Korea, Germany, Japan 2050. 2050. They do have foresight on the national level and corporate as well for this period. But there could be some disbalancing between time horizon of national foresight and horizon of planning of businesses. Another thing is that what tasks do we get from companies and from businesses? So you said you are from laboratory, yes? And you also told that you are working for science. Do you have finance from companies? What do they invest for? I mean, for some long-term, for some basic research, or more for applied research? For more applied research. Why?
Because the result is visible.
Because they want results to be implemented into their business processes right now. So I mean within a year maximum. Agree? Oh, okay, 2 years. But not 5, not 7, not 8, not 8. That's the point. But how can you get applied result if you did not create basic result, I mean fundamental, without the science? Where is the science? Who will be investing in science? That's the point. Corporates, companies could say, okay, we do have Academy of Science. I don't know, do you have in your country Academy of Science? No? Alright. Do you know what they're doing?
Not really, not much. Just some government agency, countries, everything.
Okay. So I think that this is a shortage of their activity and PR. I mean, if people who are the best from the country, because you moved from the country to another to get to more knowledge, so you are special. And if you special do not know what your own Academy of Science is doing, it's a problem of Academy of Science. Do you know what our Academy of Science is doing? Alright. But that was a hard work from our part to get our Academy of Science more oriented onto public relation activity, onto more promoting what they're doing, etc. You see? And it's another function of your future National Foresight Center to promote science, because science is very important. Academy of Science is a very important player, but one point, science could not be attached to one university or one institution, etc. You cannot say, I am institution for science, you cannot do science. It's like, I can breathe, it's not your right to go there. You can make science everywhere, even here, you can science. We all have a right to make science, to go for basic science. But of course, when we do have institution, it's more preferable to invest there. But the question is, who is setting tasks for Academy of Science? Do you know? Who is setting priority list for Academy of Science? Great, government. And who wants their results to be applied into real life? Business. This balancing, you see? You see the problems. So one institution is financing, another institution or another people are responsible for setting priorities, but then other players should take these results and implement into real life. But if I'm responsible for implementing your results, I want to influence somehow of setting these priorities. Because if you come to me and say, wow, I've created this bubble gum with nanotechnologies. I've said, great, but I need water purification for my business. That, it's not interesting for me. I've dealt with my government man that I'll be creating this.
I think you mentioned the fundamental science and applied science. But part of fundamental science, the government is about to lose lines to the future. But I think in applied science, like in many universities, there are companies that like ask universities to invent something. So it's the companies who is interested in the results are being the leaders of scientific process.
But how applied results could be created without basic science?
Well, there are a lot of fundamental science that have been already studied that are not applied yet. Well, since I'm working in the quantum field, then like a lot of fundamental science that is done, is to be done, but it's like far from being applied in business companies. But still, there are like financing of part of government and part of the companies, because some companies are very interested in it.
We've done a lot to create a system, I can tell you. I was quite happy to be a part of establishing new innovation system in Russia for 25 years. So when I was around in your age and the first year at HEC, I started to work for some centers who were responsible for creating all institutional framework for modern Russian innovation system. The point is that we had quite interesting Soviet Union innovation system. You can tell that it was efficient, someone could tell that it was inefficient, but anyway, it was. I mean, like, we had a planning system, like Gosplan, which was responsible for planning for everything. We had a system of universities, centers, institutions, Russian Academy of Science, so that was quite a big institutional system. A lot of inefficiency, a lot of problems, but it was working. when the Soviet Union was broke down, the system was destroyed as well. And we lived for dozen years without any system of planning. And even from 2006, 2005, so around 20 years ago, we started to recover the system. That's why now you are telling that partly business is responsible for budgeting, applied science, and again. 15 or 20 years ago, that was impossible even to hear this. Because when you came to business, we say, science? No, I want money because I don't know what will be next week. Maybe I'll be killed. And then you'll find my body in the forest. And that's true stories, a lot. And now you're saying, well, what about budgeting? What about other things? What about the contract, and etc. So again, what I wanted to tell you here is that when we're talking about incentives of companies, anyway, they are more specialized on applied part of research and innovations, and it's normal. So, but from another point, it's very important to invest in basic science as well. And the main problem is how basic science is connected with applied science. For sure, and it's a good idea that in basic science we already have a lot, but it's not enough. And we have to create something for our children and our grandchildren, etc. So we cannot just stop right now and say, well, now we do not do any basic science, we go for applied. We cannot do this. It's a process. And in this case, I ask you a question. What should be in a part of priority? Should we invest a lot in nanotechnologies or biotechnologies? Should we invest more in space discovery or in water purification? Should we invest more in quantum computers or in materials with 2-3D dimensions or materials which could be programmed by their properties? The drama and the tricky thing is that if I ask any researcher to name perspective field for budgeting, he or she will name their field of application. Nobody will say, no one will say that you do something useless. So if we have here 300 researchers, I will have at least 300 priorities. Anyone will say, me, please me, take me, I'll do the best. My priority is the priority from priority. But sometimes I have money only for 299. All right, only for 100, but not for 300 priorities. And from this point, there starts a tricky question. How to understand who should be financed and who not? It's not an easy question to answer. And that's why in almost in all countries, foresight start to play this role of helping to balance between priorities. Why? Because if I know the future, so if I know what will be important for the future, I can tell you, then say flat materials is great, but quantum computers, or not computers, right, but precise things is, for us, it's more important on this period of time. That's why $10 million for you and 8 for you. Okay? You see that when you know the characteristics of the future, you could understand now, in the present, what is more important for creating this future. But if you do not understand what will be this future, anyone will come for you and say, please, take my idea, here's my idea, and etc. You see? but we have to stand on a scientific base, and it's very, very important. Innovation and disruptive technologies. Well, sometimes they are not the key factor of companies' competitiveness. Now we face that companies, fortunately, are more and more deeper understanding that without technologies, without breakthrough technologies, they will be dead. But generally, when, say, company could have some monopoly, it could say, I see no reason to invest in innovations. In economics, there is so-called U-cave of correlation between the level of competitiveness and the level of innovations. So when the level of innovation is maximum and competitiveness is maximum or zero, there is no reason for innovations. Innovations help you to be more competitive. But when you could just go for monopoly and say, oh, here's my friend, it's okay, let's go, let's make a deal, it's no reason to invest in any innovations. And that's why to keep a good level of competitiveness and competitive races, it's quite important for any government. As for government, the problem is how to distribute resources. I mean, it could be like sparing, we call it like a butter on a bread, see? When you have just a small piece of butter, big piece of bread, and nothing. But if you want to make it precise, for some priorities, again the question, I've got 300 applications and money just for 100. How to select? It's a tricky question.
It's difficult.
I know, because I am doing it on a regular basis. I'm an expert of all these programs, including different programs of investing in laboratories where corporations, companies, and universities could apply for a grant from government only if they come together. We elaborated this document in Russian. I'm an expert of deciding about all this list of attendees, etc. I know. That's why I'm, one, telling you about this problem, two, telling you how it could be solved. I cannot tell you precisely that it should be solved like this in one way. It will be incorrect. There is no one way. There are different ways. But the idea is very simple. To see what from this, say, 300 or 3,000, from millions applications could help you to create the future that you want to create. Because you could want to create different future. I mean, some countries could say, well, I want to create green future. Green for everybody, with low level of carbon emissions, etc. Another country could say, okay, I'm not caring about the green effects, I'm caring about poverty. It's more important for us. So I want to make zero level of poverty, and then we'll get back to nature. Because when I have a balancing between human and nature, I prefer human. Okay, this also could be. If you remember China, for example, China was growing very fast without any ideas and any attempts to care about people. You remember the photos from Beijing and other cities when they care masks, professional masks, because of the atmosphere was harmful, it was dangerous. But in that years, GDP per capita of China was going up. That was a strategy. Now China says, you remember, they want to be green nation. They said, okay, stop. Now we have some another rhythm. And now we start to think more about human, about nature, but that wasn't 10 years ago. They are thinking about only their economic development. They were stealing all property, intellectual property, all ideas from all the world. They were purchasing Russian science from, districts, including neighborhoods, pets, just like a district from here to here, with only one restriction. And all rights to intellectual property created within China belong to China. Bravo. That's it. So, what I mean here, that there could be different priorities, again. But foresight helps you to understand what priorities for the future could or should be in your country, and then elaborate a system of criteria for budgeting, laboratories, science, universities, etc. Of course, there are a lot of so-called economically based metrics and criteria, like net present value, like a lot of metrics from innovation and investment management, a lot. I think maybe you know them, or you can write about them in different textbooks. So I mean, there are a lot of metrics for projects, but they are metrics that could help you to measure them not from the position of the future, but from a position of reliability, of sustainability, efficiency, return of investment, etc. You see? They are not telling you, could this project help you to create the desirable future or not. That's why what we're doing in the foresight, it's not a substitute to other traditional economic and financial disciplines, you see? We are not competing. This is very important. So we're not trying to say, do not think about return of investment. Do not think about the key rate from the central bank. Do not think about money return. It's all very important, and there are huge number of textbooks, literature dedicated to this. We are telling about another thing. Why we need all this? For what? Okay. This thing happens almost in all countries. Lack of systemic coordination between ministers. That's the point. I don't know, do you live in your countries in big houses or not? But in Moscow, for example, there's the war. Now maybe not, but there are very typical situation when, I mean, your own flat is okay because you clean it, but nobody wants to clean communal areas inside the house. Okay, so near the lifts, stairs, nobody wanted to clean them. Okay, why? Because they're like nobody's property. You see? So when you do have your own flat, okay, you clean there. When you just make one step forward to the lift, that could be a lot of garbage, because it's for nobody. Nobody is responsible for this. Now, of course, we moved for more responsible behavior. Sometimes you do it by yourself, sometimes you just make some fees and you ask a special guy to do it, etc. But, I mean, 15, 20 years ago, that was normal. No, like you enter a big house, good flats, very rich people living there, but all stairs, all lifts are in garbage. Why? Because it's nobody's. So the same story is here. when say, sorry, get back, for example, you see the Ministry for Economic Development. You come to them and say, all right, I've got a great idea about development of new technologies in agricultural sector that could raise productivity. Productivity is about economics, okay? They said, yeah, productivity is about economics, we are the Ministry of Economic Development, but it is about technological application for productivity. In this case, it's not our mandate, it's not for us, we cannot finance it, because it's not about the economics, it's about technologies. Please go to another ministry which is responsible for technological development. You say, okay, you come to the Ministry for Technological Development and say, take a look, I've got a great technology that could raise productivity in agricultural sector, please give me money for it. They said, that's great, this is technology that could raise productivity in agricultural sector, but you know that we are federal ministry and we are responsible for general technologies, and your technology is for agricultural sector. Please, come to the Ministry of Agricultural Development. You say, okay, you come to the Ministry of Agricultural Development and say, come on guys, I've got a great technology for raising productivity for agricultural development. Please give me money, it's agricultural development, great technologies. We said, yeah, that's true, but you see the problem, that we have a Ministry for Agricultural Development, but not for technological and production development. That's why if you just came and say that you want to have some things about corns or about pesticides, okay, but this is about technology. We cannot finance technology there. Please go to other ministries. That's it. So, in fact, it is needed to the country, it's great technology, but nobody wants to take responsibility for this. Moreover, sometimes they cannot finance it because of the law, according to which we call it mandate, according to which they were created. Because if we finance something that is not inside their priorities, their mandate, they will be prosecuted by the supervising commission, because they will say that their finance was done to non-direct sphere. And it's really a problem. We started to create so-called inter-ministerial and interdepartmental commissions somehow to tackle this problem. When we include different ministers within this inter-ministerial commission, and the chief of steering committee says, okay, you're responsible to 1/3, you're responsible to another 1/3 of finance, and you're responsible for the final 1/3 of the finance. So please take 1/3 here, 1/3 here, and 30% here for all your finance. You've said, okay, great idea, but then you need money, say, in autumn 2024. One minister says, I can give you in December. Another, well, maybe in April, but 2025. The third said, well, the thing, maybe we can give you the money right now, but you'll have to present what you've done in 3 months. He said, it takes a year. We said, otherwise we cannot take your money, give you money. That's it. Quite real story. And you should take this into account when you'll be implementing your foresight activities, everything what you do into decision-making process. And finally, the thing is that we should switch from so-called thematic to problem-oriented priorities. And that's why it's very important to understand what global trends are and global agenda as well. What I mean here. So what are thematic priorities? When you say, nanotechnology is a great idea. Let's invest in nanotechnologies. Or ICT, information communication technologies, is our future. Let's invest a lot in nanotechnologies or biotechnologies. This is topic, okay? Theme. And my question is very simple. For what? Biotechnologies or nanotechnologies is a very huge area of science. For what? For what? What do you want to get after all these executions? And that's why we see a shift, a big movement from thematic to problem-oriented priorities. And if you remember what Japan was planned, it was 4. Like biotechnologies for preventing elderly population or for diseases or etc. New materials for energy sector to help it create more sustainable energy or etc. New materials for information communication technologies for creating new models etc. etc. You see? So that's why it's very important to ask for what? For what? Of course, in basic science, sometimes you don't have this answer right now. That's why it's called basic science. But anyway, even in basic science, it's important at least to see some there. For what? What is the reason for all of this? And the same thing is about the experts and societies. In need to develop a national expert system, which is also very important and could be one of the functions of National Foresight Center. We do have in our databases, we do have more than 12, even more than 13,000 different experts. So our database is very profound. We do have around 3,500 experts from international institutes and think tanks, and we really created an expert system in Russia for all foresight activities, innovation activities as well. So it's very important to have some infrastructure, platforms, infrastructure, and improve and disseminate foresight culture, because otherwise it will be useless. I mean, when just a small group of people, small group of experts want to create a future, know about this, and others are just think, oh, it's not about us, it's not interesting, it's like, you know, like a wind, when it closed window, etc. So you have to promote culture, promote innovations, promote foresight thinking and forward-looking activities, and etc. Promote everywhere. I mean, in your community, in your society, with anybody. Even if you meet somebody in a lift, just say, foresight forever, and run. Okay? Right. So, I suggest maybe we'll make a break on this point. Then we move to another audience. It's the same.
Yeah.
113 in a main building. There, for you, I prepared one-page quiz. And for those who are with us online, you'll also be able to do it on internet base, and then we'll continue to discuss about systems in the future. So I suggest maybe let's meet in 3:25. All right? It's okay?
Doing it online is optional, right?
Well, it's up to you. So if you're okay to enter LMS and do it online, it's okay. But I've got it printed, so It's total up to you. So you can just log in LMS and go through. The test will start at 6 o'clock, in 4 o'clock, or otherwise in 4 o'clock I can give you the same and you can just write it down. Okay, so it's 3:25. We'll meet in the main building in the
Same venue last time, right?
Yes. All right. To see you.
113.
Okay. From one point, from technological side, from another, from demand. You know, I'm sick and tired of going to laundry. Please, my tie is in my Porsche or another soup. You see? The point is, with this scheme, that it's also very linear, but it represents two flows. Again, one flow goes from science to market, another flow goes from market to some creation and to sales. You see? All right. Oh, let's go to a little bit more sophisticated thing. What we do here? Let's start. So we start from the needs of society and marketplace. Then you've got some new idea. There are different layers, as you can see, right? So you've got new idea, then you have idea generation and new technology. So one layer on your left, it comes from, I use chalk. I didn't use it for 20 years. So one layer goes from idea to technology, all right? Another goes from the needs of society to development, prototype, manufacturing, marketing and sales again, marketplace, to state-of-the-art in technology and production. So from needs to production. So these layers are place and again. You see? So what we're trying to identify in this scheme is linkages and blocks. Is that clear? Is that one clear? Yeah? Okay. We go for more and more sophisticated conceptions of national innovation system. This one deals with idea of different infrastructural institutions. We also start from demand. It's on the top. Then we do have different type of systems. Let's take a look there in, I don't know, dark blue, not dark blue, dark green, dirty green. Okay, in some color. So we do have different types of systems: industrial system, education and research system, and political system. You see, in blocks. Again, industrial system, education and research system, and political system. Then you see the flow from demand and framework conditions. For framework conditions, government is always responsible. And interaction between them, including large companies, mature small and medium enterprises, new technology-based firms. Here we see how a new type of players like intermediaries are occurring, like research institutions and brokers. And you know that now technological brokers are one of very important players in startup and innovation system. Then from educational part we see professional education, how education, public sector research. And political includes governance, and research technology and development policy. And finally, infrastructure, which includes banking, intellectual property right institutions, innovation business and other systems, and standards and norms. So again, here we see not only, I get back especially. So we started from very simple, when we see science push and market pull, then moved to a little bit more sophisticated but again linear conception of how ideas are flowing from development to marketplace. And now we see interactions between systems. So we see like national innovation system, which includes subsystems, right? Subsystem which we called industrial system, subsystem which we called educational and research system, subsystem which we called political system, interactions between them provided by intermediaries and infrastructure. Well, we go forward, we move forward, and we go closer and closer to more fully fledged system, which also includes different subsystems. Let's start from the core. What do we see in the core? The core is dedicated to knowledge, generation, diffusion, and use. Again, generation, diffusion, and use. So you have to generate knowledge, diffuse it, and use. Okay, quite logical. But who is responsible for what? Firms' capabilities and networks, supporting institutions, science system, and some research bodies and other research companies. They constitute the core of national innovation system, which also is connected to innovation systems regional layer, clusters of industries, and global innovation networks. So as you may tell me that national innovation system could not be created just in some hermetic condition. I mean, there always should be some interactions with other countries, cooperation, global trends, etc. So we're not isolated. No one is isolated. And that's why you have to understand what is a global context. Then we move to second layer here. It includes macroeconomic and regulatory context, education and training system, production markets condition, factory markets condition, and finally communication infrastructure. And at the end, it influences country performance like GDP growth, job creation, competitiveness, and etc. So you see again why it's important, because now we see how all these elements are mixing. I mean, universities could also have some startups or unicorns. It's normal. Companies could have very strong R&D, research and development centers, or research-based organizations, and they pay a lot for innovation. It's normal. Universities go for basic science. It's okay. It's also normal. Cities or regions want to be competitive using foresight and innovation activities. It's also key. But for you to understand how to manage all this, you have first to understand what are the elements. You cannot manage it all. You cannot manage all the system without understanding all the elements of the system and all the linkages between all these elements. Agree? So that's why for you, it's very important to understand what are the elements of the system, what role do they play, and how you can influence, how you can manage them, and etc. If we if we start from this linear thing, what is the role of science? Generally, to create knowledge, okay? To create new knowledge, to explore, to understand, to discover new physics or economical laws, to understand what is the nature of everything. So it's discovery. What is the role of business? Generally, business takes some ideas, implements them, and creates products, services for people. So from one point discovery, from another point implementing. Okay, it's clear. But then we see that it's not so easy, it's not so simple. That there are lots of different flows inside. Flow of knowledge, flow of ideas, flow of people, flow of money, flow from science to business and from business to science, flow from society to business and from business to society, flow from government to everyone and from everyone to government. So we start to understand, I mean that we now in a couple of minutes we shortcut dozen years of research in this field. I mean, between the first picture and the picture that I've showed you, and I'll show you more a little bit, well, I can notice around 20-25 years of research. That's why we make a little bit shortcut of all these things. But I think that you're ready for such leapfrog, all right? And then we start to understand, I mean, we researchers of innovations, that there could be subsystems in the whole system. Like education is also a big system. Scientific or industrial organization is also a big system. So, system could communicate with the system. And inside each system, it could also be some communications. So there could be communication like system to system, or element to a system, or element to an element. It's going more and more sophisticated. So that's why here, researchers decided to show different layers. Like we've got basic layer, which is responsible for knowledge generation, diffusion, and use. Then we've got second layer of systems, like global innovation networks, regional innovation systems, clusters of national innovation system. And then we've got another layer of factors, like education, macroeconomic, because it also influences all the system. I mean, if all macroeconomic will be down, you cannot say that you could expect a lot of budgets for science. It's understandable, and etc. But finally, why it is important? It's important because it directly influences performance of a country. That's why a lot of government representatives and institutions, they finance research in national innovation system approach and creation of national innovation systems. But it's not the end of the story. Here we see it's an example of regional innovation system. Why I'm showing you this generally is because of this idea. We all are here. I mean, we all are these elements with a lot of different connections, not understandable, non-predictable, but very important. That's about us, generally. You see here, in concept of regional innovation system, there are two main players. universities who are responsible for knowledge generation and business who are responsible for knowledge utilization. Okay. But then there's a loop representing different interaction between them. And this interaction is non-linear and non-understandable sometimes even for us, for researchers. I mean, how the interaction between business and companies should be organized. There are a lot of ideas, a lot of theories, but generally nobody could tell you on 100% if you organize it like this, it will be efficient. Well, someone can, but I strongly recommend you to escape this piece of advice. Because nobody knows. We know how it's better not to do or how it's better to do. But we cannot say 100% that this or that interaction is good, because it depends on a lot of factors, like the culture in your country, the culture of interaction. Say in Russia, for example, it's normal if I go with my PhD students for a cup of tea. In Canada, it will be prosecuted because it's forbidden. It's their culture. For me, it's normal when we talk to each other and if you're writing a PhD diploma with me that we just go and drink some water, etc. It's just a small piece of example. But what I'd like to say here, that there's a very interesting reaction, like physical reaction, inside these two big blocks. Right? Like thermonuclear reaction, where ideas flow, science flow, laboratories flow, money flow, people flow, and it could be very good stimulated by interaction of universities and businesses for finally regional development, which is important to have some dissemination for global networks, investments, experts, etc. Alright? But I've showed this picture for you generally because of this idea, these clusters. Okay, but it's not linear. Like just one flow, one laboratory, one law, and everything goes. No. Okay. So on this point, I'd like to, let me check our precise time. Okay, we've got 5 minutes before test. So, in 5 minutes, we'll start our quiz. It's small. It will take, according to LMS, 25 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. All right. So the same time period I will give for you. So if you want to log in to enter LMS and do it online, no problem. It's up to you. If you prefer old school, I've got this. I've already done it. So if you will not take it, I will have to face additional expenditures for utilization. And then we'll continue to see how systems could look like. So, who wants printed version? Anybody? No? Anybody wants printed version? No? You all have your LMS account? Wow, okay.
Want to write and get as cost immediate.
Huh?
Want to write and get as cost immediate.
So you won't? Ah, okay. Okay, I see. Well, right. Okay. Well, when we have three minutes left, I'd like to tell you that this systemic approach is a very powerful instrument. Maybe not only for just our course, but when you want to add to some topic, I mean some economic topic or managerial topic, try to think it from systemic approach. So, who are the actors in the system? What are the linkages between them? How can you influence them? Are they part of subsystem or not? How the interaction of this subsystem is organized? I can tell you that this systemic approach was very widespread in Soviet Union, and a lot of corporations, including Western military corporations, they took this systemic approach on board because it's very powerful to understand the unknown area. When you enter, say, a new market, new country, and you do not know what is inside, you don't know the cultural things, you don't know the other aspects. The systemic approach, so again, who are the actors, who are the players, what are the interactions between them, are they part of the system or subsystem, how the subsystems are connected to each other. It's very powerful for entering all these ideas there. Okay, so I guess it's time of quiz, no? It's 1 minute left, according to my... So what about your colleague? He decided to write it outside?
No. He went to visit himself, he's coming back.
Ah, okay.
I have a question, but I'll ask after the test.
Alright, sure.
Are we going to continue with the class after the test?
Yes, sure. So we'll continue lecturing after the test here, and then we'll go to break, get back to our audience, and then we'll get final lecture there. So we've got a long day for today. На 25.
До 16.
Да. Alright, so 1 minute left. Again, so nobody wants printed. The maximum clearance of your answer. Crystal clear. Okay. You are totally in the green future. Okay, so good luck.
Шестом повторяется.
I'll take a look. In my version, no.
Okay, what else? In the script for there are some repeating answers for
Really, I'll take a look because in my version always correct here.
Could you please show me the reference? You know that this is completely different from what we have in Linux. Oh, really? Yeah. Like here we have the challenges for innovation system. Well, interesting.
25 minutes. Right, so please stop. Let's move forward. Okay? So, what I'd like to tell you now, there are some milestones of so, let's move forward. Okay?
Exercise 6. My answer is incorrect by incorrect answer is the same as my incorrect answer.
Well, as I saw, it's a little bit strange because I've got it at number 9, not number 6. Yeah, but anyway, when we'll be counting, then the results will calculate including this. So I mean, if you find the right answer and it was incorrect but it was right, so we just recalculate your scores. So everything will be fair, don't think about this. Alright, so what I'd like to show you, as I already told you, we started to rebuild innovation and foresight system in Russia from Soviet Union perestroika time, around 15-20 years ago. So, and I was lucky to be a part of all these activities. So when I've just graduated from high school of economics and was a young specialist like you are now, I chanced to be a part of a team which created the conception of Russian long-term science and technology foresight, which was approved in 2006 in June, and then we start to prepare the first national foresight in Russia till 2025. So the process was very interesting because we've tried a lot of different instruments, including futurology, including delta analysis. So I'll be telling you about all these instruments a little bit later. For some of you who joined us from the beginning, I've already told you about these instruments. And within this foresight till 2025, the process of elaborating, of creation this foresight, it took us around 2 years, from 2007 to 2008, and that was then presented to the government, to the Minister of Education, and then we launched the Russian long-term foresight in 2030. That was the first round. It lasted a few years, and during that period we started to create a system of foresight centers, or foresight think tanks, which still exists. And I can tell you that this university, your university, was a part of this process, including the team, which done a lot to create a Russian science and technology foresight system as it is now. Then we moved to the second stage. It was an update of long-term S&T foresight 2030 in 2011-2013, and finally it was presented to our president and approved by the government. So here you see that starting from 2006 to January 2012, while it was presented in the President's address to Federal Assembly, when he told all the Russian society about our foresight. I mean, not any foresight, not general foresight, I mean specific for our foresight. And then it was approved by the government, and now it is included in top 5 world most important and influential foresights according to OECD report in 2018. Along with China roadmap till 2050 and Japan activities, etc. I mean that what we've done was in top 5 the world's foresights by the version of International Organization in 2018. And I think that this foresight and all this history, all this story about how we created it could be useful for you. Also for creation of national foresight center and all this thing. Team is very important. I mean, your experts understanding what you're doing. It's quite important to set up that methodology, because it took us several years, from 2006 to approximately 2010, so around 4 or 5 years, to understand what methods are working better or worse, because we really do not know. That was like you go in the forest and you don't understand where to go. You want to eat, you know maybe your final result, but you don't know it in the precise characteristics. You just go, because we didn't want to repeat what was done in Soviet Union. From one point, from another, we understood when in Soviet Union that we cannot say that all was done in a bad manner. I mean, in scientific field, we were first in space, etc., etc. So nuclear energy, aviation, shipbuilding, nanotechnologies. We cannot say that that was fall down for the system which was installed in Soviet Union. From another point, we understood that we are not the Soviet Union and we do not repeat it. We need something new. That's why it took time to understand. But a few ideas that we generated during that activity are that team is very important. Professional understanding of methodology is very important. I mean, understanding of different methods. Big data analysis, SWOT analysis, system analysis, economic analysis, clustering, mathematical methods in economics. So methodology is very important. And it's also very important to have your stakeholders, your clients on board. I mean, we were quite in close connection with the deputy minister and the minister who was responsible for this foresight, the Minister of Education. And that was 1/3 of our success story. Not only because some, informal connections, no. That was because you can just write. There were no messengers, just SMS in that period, 2006, 2007. But you could just write that, what do you think about this? Can you have a call for 10 minutes about this? What do you think? Can you take a look? And it's close connection and inherent interest in what is doing is extremely important. Otherwise, if a person just gives you, say, your money, come in half year, give me a result, it doesn't work. You have to communicate, to sit together, to think together, to argue. It's okay, it's normal, it's part of the process with each other. It took us several years. And then we launched National Technology Foresight System. According to presidential decree, it was almost 11 years ago, in May 2012. According to this decree, we started installing and setting up in Russia a fully fledged system of technological foresight and planning for the whole country, for key industries. Well, we are still in the process because it couldn't be done even in a few years, but we've done a lot, including understanding what centers of excellence could be, think tanks could be part of this, how institutional linkages could be created. So after the break, I'll show you a few ideas and examples of how we've done it and what was the result. And in that period, we've got creation of interministerial commission on technology foresight. Do you remember before break I told you that there are different interests from different ministers and it's quite hard to get you on board because you say, I am the minister of the ministers, and no, I am the chief of the minister, no. And we've got interministerial commission. When you all vote for some steering committee, manager or president of this commission, but anyway, it's an institution which helps everybody to go for deal, for decision, not for arguing and struggling and say, these stairs are not mine, I don't want to swipe them. Okay? So that's why important, because everybody needs it. And then we moved for more profound and fully fledged foresight activities, which we face now, when we do have big data analysis on board, when we do have thousands of active players, when we do have a network of hundreds of different universities and institutes which are interested and responsible for different parts of foresight activities. So that's what we have, and that's why when we were discussing tricky questions, do remember, not what, but when and who. That's why we've got these questions, because in that period, there were a lot of questions, what? Where should we invest? In nanotechnologies or in biotechnologies? in ICT or in quantum computers, in space discovery or in decarbonization. That was a really question for us. Now there is not a question, because we do understand more or less general priorities, but now the question is the velocity, the speed, how we moved there, how we moved to this decarbonization, exactly, how we moved there. And in this thing, it's very important the speed of your ability to think and to adapt, because there are teams that could run very fast, but they don't know where to run. So if you forward them there, then they run there. If you forward them there, they run there. And maybe you just better little bit think where to run and then run. There are a lot of teams that could think, but they're very slow in running. They are arguing with each other, and sometimes they just go for closing all the teams because they cannot get to deal with each other. You know, like music band. It's normal story, but it's not the story. It's not a good story for the country. That's why it's important to have a team, direction, and good pace of good velocity that you move. So there are several life hacks about all this ideas and things. All right. So and now we also now we've got a lot of questions. Say what should be the next time horizon for our foresight? Because the previous foresight was down to 2030. It was updated then, but now I'm not sure that we should do it till say 2035. I think that we should do it at least till 2050, the same as say China or Japan. But again, if they already accomplished, already done the foresight till 2050, and we just start, if we want to go forward, maybe it's better to make a foresight till 2070 to have some advantage in time and take on board, take a look what they already foresee, but go beyond. Otherwise, we will still be in catching up. They will go to 2060, we'll go to 2060 after, in a couple of years after they already print them. We all understand, so if we see, you remember I provided links for books, for reports. So if we already printed it, that means that they accomplished this goal, say, 2 or 3 years ago. So that means that they already, 2 or 3 years ago, they already make a foresight in 2050. And if we just started now, we'll finish, say, in 2 years. So when we finish, they will start next. And we'll just finish, and we'll always be catching up.
Yeah, but I have a question with regards to that. Will it be feasible if you make a foresight for so long a time, like you start now and you make a foresight for 2070? Now, what if some other factors come in and you have to change direction? You do not be deterred from achieving the future you want to create?
Yeah, it's a good question about feasibility, but when we're talking about so long-term horizon, like even 2050 or 2070, of course, we do not say that you have just one-time horizon and that's it, like 2023 and 2070. No, we do have some intermediate horizons, but the final horizon should be 2070. Then it could be a basic plan, say till 2035, or concrete plan for the next year. So it's normal to have different time horizons. but you act from understanding this long-term perspective, not short-term. But that doesn't mean that you have only long-term perspective and nothing here, you know, like you open your eyes tomorrow and it's 2070, hallelujah. No.
Does not mean that the place of evaluation is actually in the intermediate horizon?
Yes, we do some milestones, how we call them, and they could be say by 5 years, like five. So here we've done it like 5 years, say 2020, 2025, 2030. So you can do it like 5 years, then 10, and 15, for example. You can combine. So it's normal. It also is sensitive to the period of updating documents in your country, for updating key laws that are creating institutional design of fault foresight and forecasting systems, you see? So, I mean, if the main documents are just for 2 years, it's better to say what you should do after they finish their liability and their legislation. What you should do next. If you have documents, say like long-term strategy or other plans for 10 years, it's okay, because you can place your ideas of these documents on the platform of these documents. You see, it's a great questions that you both asked. I mean that all these activities should be integrated into the whole institutional framework of the country. You see? That's important. And sometimes you have to change this institutional construction to create all this foresight system. So that's a good point of thinking. Good for you. All right. So what I want to show now, because some of you asked to switch to this thing, is what will be on exams, and then after a break we'll get back to all these things. So as you remember when we talked on our previous lectures, exams will be presented in 2 parts. So you will be working within groups by topics, and your final assessment will be your quiz, your activity, quizzes, 2 quizzes, and assessment of group work. Again, here are the topics for group work. You can find them in LMS, and we talked about them previously. If you want other topics, it's okay with me. But anyway, you should create a group. I know that you like to be divided into groups, and you work within groups frequently, so it's easy for you. And if you already understand what topic you want to take and what group you want to create, we can discuss this, it's okay. Or what do we mean by any of these topics? You see, they are slightly different. They have 2 dimensions, 2 functional dimensions. So some of them are like things like digital economy, new technology, or green economy, smart city, and some of them are technology push. Now you understand why I constructed topics like this. So now you understand that these topics were constructed from the logic of science push and market pull. Science from the role of artificial intelligence, say, on new technologies, so how they could push, and pull, say, from green economy or smart city, how it could be placed there. But anyway, we could discuss what about this topic. So if you have your own topic, we can also discuss. Anyway, you'll have to split into groups. This is very important.
Because I don't understand the part where you said the assignments are written in logical order. Can you throw more light on that?
So what type of what number of topic?
I'm interested in green economy, for example.
Green economy. Okay. So say you want to take a topic which is called green economy, and you establish a group, say 4 or 5 people here. So you take this topic. The next step will be to think about different threads. You'll have to think of 8 types of a thread that influence this topic in your example green economy. So, what social trends will influence green economy? Come in, it's interesting here. I heard it. Economic trends. What economic trends are influencing green economy? Science and technology trends influencing the green economy. And till then. So you'll have each group to prepare different trends which influence the topic that you choose according to this classification. Moreover, I will ask you to do it on a special framework. So not just thread, like a thread, but what is the action of a trend? So is it increasing, decreasing, like increasing elderly population, or decreasing world income? So what is happening with the object that you choose like a trend, and what is the application or effect of a trend? It's not enough. Each group should say for A, B, C, D, E, F, up to all these trends till the end, from 1 to 8. Each group should say when did this trend start, the year, what will be the end of this trend, and what will be the year of maximum effect of this trend on your topic. Will this trend create threat or opportunity? So each group should create at least 8 trends by this form. At least one economic trend, one social, one scientific, one political, etc., etc. I will repeat it. Yes, sure. I will repeat it on the exam, but I'd like to tell this for you for prepare. Please.
Yeah, I was asking you to cover all
On this slide.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, each group should cover the whole these trends. And so the parameters you mentioned is when the trend started again, yeah, I want to get some of those parameters
Again, the question.
It's okay now.
All right. Other questions?
So after we discussed like
then you'll be like a group. You'll be presenting your results.
There will be some
Yes, sure. It's not the whole task for your exam because it will be an exam, and the whole task you'll see when you come for an exam.
So we would have pre-prepared presentation.
No,
so we just get some like regular sessions without any upcoming presentations.
Like a group. What I will do if I were you? Okay. First, you should find a topic in your group.
Right.
Say you decide to take green economy. Okay. And I will ask that each topic will be taken by some different groups. I mean, if all groups will take green economy, it could be, but it wouldn't be so interesting. All right, so you take topic green economy, then you start preparing to think of all these 8 type of trends that influence green economy. Moreover, now you know in what form these trends should be organized. Because if I'm telling about the trend of, say, starting legally lowering the level of greenhouse gas, I can tell you the year where it started from a Paris declaration. But I should, I don't know, Google it, go to a library, so I should think about it. Another question is when it will end. You should think about it. What factors, what drivers, what wild cards, what should happen that this trend will end.
Should we think of it or try to find some research?
You should think of it based on research. Sure.
Everyone should research it.
Of course. It's like obligatory because we are in the university. We are not drinking beer on a break. Even if we'll do it, I will ask you about scientifically based research. Even for beer, sorry. So, yes, and then you can prepare these forms in advance, like a group. Be prepared with what I'm going to do with you on the exam day, because there will be. It's not a full task, because well, again, that's because of its exam. And in an exam, you have to face some challenges.
By the start of the exam, we should have some notes regarding the topic.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Sorry, I asked you one earlier. One, are we going to arrange the open on that individual, taking that you arrange the to before when you take sense of the things, if necessary that we discuss about the literature of the before when things.
Wow. Again, when you'll be presenting like a group, when you do a final presentation on the exam day, for sure I'll be asking you why you decided this, where's the source of it. Sure. So that's why when you'll be preparing, it's better to have some, I don't know, one folder with information when you'll be gathering it, etc. Because my question for you like a group will be why you decide this, why you think so, what is the basis, what are the citations, what are research bases, etc.
For example, what do you mean by classification? Like in economy, for example, what does classification come?
Yes. So eight type of groups. Yeah. So I can tell you that generally, when we do a real foresight in the real world, we do the same. So I just wanted to show you how we start our foresight activities in real life. So right now, I mean, in Monday, we'll start foresight activity for big Russian corporation who is responsible for digital turnover of the whole Russian documents. And we'll do the same. So I mean, we'll meet our team. We'll take this classification, the same, and we start to think about different trends, etc. So that's why I think it could be useful and important for you just to have it by hands, okay? I guess now we have to move and see you. All right, so let's